On Friday, I acquired a car. The car. Today is Monday, and today is the first day that I'm going to start making things nicer on this car. I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm quite looking forward to it. It's relatively straightforward with this car. Let me just go through it briefly. First off, it does definitely need a jolly good wash. And then the removal of all these bits like that everywhere. Needs some painting and some filling and some painting. It could really do with this being replaced. But that's good, because as it happens, I have one of those rear bumper replacing. Because that is very broken indeed. Very broken indeed. It's more than broken. It's very broken. But what I've done is I've put a little request out on the Rover and British Marks group, and then I just had an idea. What if I repaired it with one of those plastic repair kits? Eh? What about that? That's something I've never done before, but you know, surely it's possible to actually repair this. And in the spirit of preservation, repair is always better than replace. Then we want a jolly good spruce up on the inside, and could do with finding a replacement for that. That mirror doesn't look too great, but it's not really that important. And the headlining, let's not talk about the headlining just yet. No. Well, I'll tell you what I would like to do though. I really am not a fan of these steering wheel covers, so that's going to have to come off. And there we go. Instant improvement. The wheel is just a bit worn in places, but that's not really that important. You see, I think most enthusiasts would prefer the car to be as original as possible. So things like that don't really do the job. It's always a pleasure to clean a car like this, because you know how much difference it's going to make just by washing it and getting rid of the gritty feel on there. Oh, it's very hazy and very rough, so it does want a jolly good clay bar. So wash and clay bar and remove all of the green stuff everywhere is the start. First of all, some spray stuff, spray all-purpose kind of cleaner. You want to clean out the crevices. Whoa, oh. And a brush to go into said crevices. Yes, there we go. Nice and in the little holes there. Get the gunky green stuff out and marching off down the road to somewhere more suitable. As you can see, there's an awful lot of stuff coming out already. 10 minutes later, and I've brushed through all of the crevices, ready for a quick wash. It's in the gunk. Where's Alan? Releasing more gunk everywhere. Look at it. All the green stuff's all kind of melted and run off down the edges of the car. Nice, isn't it? Temporarily, it ends up looking even worse than what it was before, but we'll soon rectify that.
Tuesday.
New boots. I am speaking to you now from a different day at 2:30 in the afternoon. And why, if I'm starting this today at this time, why am I starting at this time, not earlier on than this time? Well, the answer is simple. I was doing something else. Well, my intention yesterday was to finish just washing this at least, but I got distracted by something else, so I stopped filming and filmed something else. And now something else has come up to do, something more important, something better has come up to do. This arrived not too long back. It's the plastic welding kit thing with the little bits of there. You stick the plastic together and yeah, then it's better. And this is a job I've never done before, but I am very much looking forward to it. I can't make it much worse, can I? It should be nice and easy to take off. 10mm restraining bolt there,
retaining
on the other side, little screw thing underneath, and then some along the top. A doddle, actually. They're 8mm. And isn't it lucky that the lugs haven't broken? An attempt has been made to fix this using owl snot, but it's not fixed, is it? Whilst I've got this off, I can have a better look at all the other scuffs and scratches on it as well, and there are a few. This paint's going to have to come off. There's a crack there, more bits of abrasion, scratches, you know, this full of it really. Ideally, taking off all of the chrome trim would be a good idea as well. That should be easy enough from the back. It just clips out all the trim art and makes it a bit easier to clean and prepare for paint or whatever is going to happen to it. This all looks pretty straightforward really. You just stick the staple in, heat it up and stick it on there and melt the plastic. Well, after a while of trial and error, I seem to have figured it out. Yeah, quite a lot of staples in there. I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it, okay, yeah. Righty-ho, in my attempt to try and do things properly, this is what's happening next. Carry on sanding off the flaky bits, and then we have filler to do there, and here as well, and there, and oh, ever so slightly there as well. And there, if I choose to, yeah, I may as well do it, hadn't I? Yeah, there's quite a few bits of damage on this bumper. It's going to need a full respray and a complete rub down to get it perfect. So what do? Go with reasonably good or perfect? I think the honest answer is I want to see if I can make it a lot better than it started, rather than trying to make it look like it's just come out of the factory, because that would be ever so slightly unrealistic at this stage. Filler goes on at 4:20. At 10 to 5 I shall do some more. That's after the first rubbing back with the electric sander. The electric sander of death. And now it's time for some paint. The only trouble is I haven't got the correct colour, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to use silver, and I'm going to use specifically Toyota silver because it's unlikely I'm going to need it for anything else. And it will at least give me a very good idea on whether the rubbing back job is good enough. The silver paint was a good idea because it showed that it wasn't actually ready. The surface wasn't ready for paint, and it was so unready I'm not even going to show you what it looked like. I'm just going to carry on. Needless to say, my hands are all covered in stuff, and so's everywhere else. Good. I have every respect for mechanics because their job is actually a bit tougher than it looks, and the same goes for bodywork specialists. The word specialist, it says it all, doesn't it? Because it's not something you can just jump in and do without lots and lots of thought and preparation. I think I need a feature door. I have mentioned before that I do know some spray artists, but even if I had the spare money to do this, well, to get somebody else to do it, it would defeat the object of it all, wouldn't it? Anyone could just, well, I say anyone, no, not anyone who has the money to pay somebody else to do a job for them can do this by just paying somebody else to do it. I have bought this car as an opportunity, a doer-upper. With that in mind, expenses must be saved. Well, and with that in mind, one has to be very careful what one has to spend one's money on. That rear bumper would probably be about £250 resprayed by somebody else. And then of course you've got the wings, and let's say £100 each for those. So then you're looking at £450 just on, you know, getting a few bits tidied up on it. And another problem with that then it might even just put to shame the rest of the bodywork. I've been on this 2 hours now, if not more, maybe 3. And just when I think I've got it ready to paint, I have a feel, and I can feel there's a bit of a lip there, and just there as well, and yeah, there's a scratch there. That's as good as it's going to get. There's a slightly raised part there, but I'm not really too bothered. Every time I feel something, I sand it back, bits of it pop out. So tiny little bits there, and there, and there as well. How many times do you do it before you give up and decide you've had enough? Or how many times do you do it before you give up and say that's as good as it's going to get? It's 6:30. I'm giving up for the day. Giving up for the day. Come back to this tomorrow. Life is all about perseverance. If you want to succeed, you have to go the extra mile. You just have to keep going. You have to push yourself further and further. But other times it's about giving up and stopping for the day because you know you're not going to make any progress. And it's also about being able to tell the time and knowing that at 6 o'clock you're supposed to go home. Thursday. I'm off to go and buy the JBH Wedgwood paint. I've been sprayed over it a couple of times in silver. I can't get it so it's perfect, and I'm getting to the point where I think, well, it's on the bumper. Unless you're really looking for it, maybe it'll be okay. It's got scratches and scuffs on it anyway. I'm not trying to do some sort of special restoration job on it. I'm just trying to make it better. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. But it's not a very good excuse, I know. I'm taking the long way around to the paint shop because it does occur to me that the long way may well be the quick way. Rather typically, there are 2 shades of Wedgwood blue. What's the point in that? I've seen them do this a few times. 2 shades of it. So I need to bring a sample of the paint, so like a filler flap or something, to get the right one. There's a lighter one and a not as light one. I suspect it's the lighter one, but it kind of defeats the object of having a paint code in the first place, doesn't it? Well, at least I'm having a rather lovely little drive out in Toby Charles here. Just wish there was a bit more petrol in it, because now I'm going to have to go back to the paint shop in Eric instead. I need to remove the fuel filler flap. It's filthy as well, so I need to clean it because otherwise it's still not going to show us the correct colour. Looks like it's lost its dentures, doesn't it? Maybe this is the darker Wedgwood blue after all. But then again, look how much the roof has faded compared to that. Oh, what if I compared this to a lower part of the body? Yeah, looks the same to me. Here I go again. I've got a curry waiting for me in the fridge. I made it last night. I'm starving, and I daren't leave it till afterwards because give it another half an hour and these roads are going to be chock-a-block with people driving cars when they could easily walk. I could easily walk. Oh, I could cycle. I could cycle to the paint shop. It's only about 3 miles away. And that, not just that, but I've been thinking, I'm going to make a film. It's completely irrelevant to this, so skip forward 20 seconds if you want to do. I'm going to make a film about Rochdale, my experience growing up in the place, and because I know the place very, very well. And I have so many interesting and curious memories of living here, but the majority of it was from being a teenager. So I think I should make that. Anyone agree? Now here's an observation for you that you wouldn't expect. Diesel cars are cooler than petrol. Yeah, there is something else. Yeah, there is something else behind that. They're not actually cooler, are they? But they are cooler on the inside. And that is because if your aircon works, you can use it without it bogging down everywhere. In the 1.4K series, if you use your aircon in that, it's hard work. I've got to run an aircon pump as well, and it doesn't really like it. Whereas the diesel didn't seem to make any difference whatsoever. Ergo, diesel cooler than petrol. One of my most favourite observations on the road is the little truck with the moustache. And here we have another one in front of us right now. Cute, isn't it? Once a wonderful, thriving town centre. Now, you know, not really, not very much at all actually. That's why I want to make a film about it. Well, that was pretty unusual. They had some chrome spray, and I asked about it. I said, "Do you need lacquer with this chrome spray as well?" Because obviously I've got rovers, there are chrome bits everywhere, and often they peel and they crack and they get damaged and stuff. I thought that'd be a good way to actually sort this out. Anyway, and they said it's rubbish. Nice to be given a proper honest opinion. So the question is, do you know of any chrome spray that's actually any good? You spray it out and you get a chrome finish rather than what looks like a just stainless steel finish, as the chap in there just said. Oh, by the way, Project Ralf Little Sky happens to be the darker version of Wedgwood Blue after all. I was sure it was going to be the other one. But then I did think, when I had one before, it seemed like a very, very light blue. So, yeah, maybe that does actually make sense. Time for lunch. Homemade naan bread, homemade curry, cup of tea. Well, say curry's even better the next day. The heat of this is vicious. But I like it. Is it supposed to take this long? Or is it just me dilly-dallying about? But I wasn't happy with the finish in silver, so I've cracked out the knifing putty. That's the correct stuff for this, I reckon. And while I'm waiting another 20 minutes for this to dry before I can sand, let's be honest, it does look very pretty, doesn't it? Very, very, very pretty indeed. I know the trick to paintwork is preparation and patience. Not tricks as such, but just what you're supposed to do. Just finding that every time I go over this, it just doesn't really get any better. There's still, that's got a crack that's sticking out anyway, so there's not much I can do with that. But this here was just a little scuff. I filled it, rubbed it back, filled it, rubbed it back, and then put knifing putty in it, and I can feel the ridges. That bit there, the bit's popped out. This is the important bit, and that might be the only bit that actually is okay. Then we have this, which the paint's reacted to the paint underneath. Right, there we go, there's my repair with some silver paint on, but there's still changes of colour everywhere. I really cocked this up. I went and put a bit too much paint on and it run. So I'll try to fix it, and I just got it everywhere. So basically had to do all this bit again. Carry on rubbing it back, dry it off, rub it back. This bit on the other hand doesn't look horrendous. It could look better, and it will. Right, that's the bumper on. Just got to fit the trim. And bumper's back on, trim put back on. Are we ready? Don't get too excited, because, well, basically, it's a 10-foot car. There we go. That's it. You can see where the repair was done, but it is, well, it's better than it was. And the same goes for all of these gouges out of the paint. I went over that part there, must be 5 times, and it still doesn't look right. It's going to have to do for the moment. And at least, well, I mean, it still looks crashed, but it doesn't look as crashed as it did before. And the front wing is kind of all over the place. Maybe it will be better once I give it a rub back, because obviously it's reacted ever so slightly in places, and that's lacquered and it doesn't feel like it, so it's going to need quite a bit of cutting back, and maybe it'll be acceptable then. But I am more than happy to be prepared for it to be not acceptable, and for it to be the kind of thing that looks like it needs doing again, because it does to me at the moment. I haven't started that bit yet. Perhaps I should put that back on as well. It's days like this where I end up thinking maybe I shouldn't bother, because I'm just not learning how to do this as quickly as I want to do, and I feel disappointed, and that's not how I wanted to end this video.
A lovely big special thank you to all of my channel members who are listed here. This is the end of the video. Please switch off and go home. I repeat, this is the end of the video.